This is the Jack Murphy Podcast. Here's your host, Jack Murphy.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Jack Murphy Podcast. So good to have you here. We'll get into the stats, how you can subscribe and like and support the program a little bit later. But first, there is a report coming from law enforcement down in South Alabama, the Montgomery area, that my co-host on this podcast had some sort of an altercation in the parking area of one of those Planet Fitness, which, by the way, that's kind of an iffy gym anyway. Not your higher
Especially when I
clientele.
go.
Yeah, the clientele there's not the greatest I've been. I go because it's cheap, like $10 a month.
You're part of the clientele that people want to stay away from, though. The old guy
exactly.
sitting on his phone when he should be working on the machine.
Not me. When I do go, I get in there, I get it done, and I get out. But so now you go at an odd hour. They're open 24 hours a day, and you go
Now,
in
the
there
ones
at about,
here, this one here opens at 5 o'clock, and I usually get there about 30 minutes early, sit in my car and wait on them to open up because I'm the guy waiting on the gym to open. This morning, I thought I'd walk around the parking lot, kind of warm up. That's a big parking lot, and it's
Now, do you do that a lot? I mean, is that how you get your walks in? You walk around the parking lot at the gym?
Yeah, I kind of get my walk in. I don't want to go in the gym, and you got to be quiet. When you're outside walking, you can, listen to music, you can smoke.
Which everybody wants to do in the gym anyway. I mean, if you can get on the elliptical and smoke, it's a perfect world.
That would be ideal. So this morning, I'm walking around the parking lot, and I notice off on the other side of the parking lot this dark, shadowy figure.
Another walker waiting for the gym to open, perhaps.
Don't look much like a walker to me. It looks more like a hobo.
Skinwalker.
A miscreant.
Okay.
So I thought, this guy really has a lot of parking lot. He doesn't need to be coming this way. Let me just kind of change my direction and see if he's following me. So I changed directions, and I noticed that this guy's not only changed directions too, he's speeding up. So I got mad. Now, a lot of people get scared and run away.
Now, is he a big guy? Because, I mean, your physique isn't exactly scary, but was he a big guy?
Thanks a lot.
It's not like you're a huge person or anything.
It wasn't
average.
like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, but it was, you don't want to mess with anybody when it's dark out. You don't know what he has in his hand or his bag.
Anybody approaching you at 5 o'clock in the morning in the dark outside the gym, they want money.
They're either stupid or dangerous.
They want your phone. They want something.
So instead of me cowering and running away, I have this weird thing in me where I get mad. So I turn around and I walk toward him. And I'm thinking, this could be it.
That really throws them off when you do that a lot of times.
Yeah, because I'm not going to live my life scared. So he says, "Excuse me, sir. Excuse me." The old, "Excuse me, sir." And I said, "Whatever the F you're about to ask me, the answer is no. I don't have any money. I don't care if you need gas for your car. The answer is no."
Right.
So then he suggests, Jack.
That you give him a cigarette.
No. He suggested I go blank my mother.
Oh, that crosses a line right there.
So now I wanted to ask you a question because I know how much you worry about my
getting left behind.
Getting left behind.
Right.
Which one of us is going to get left behind? Me for saying whatever the F you want, the answer is no, or him for telling me to go blank my mother?
I think it's him because in that particular case, you have every right to defend yourself, and you don't know who this guy. I mean, he could have just came up and stabbed you or came up and shot you. So I think you did the right thing. A lot of times that power move where you flip the script on them and turn around and come to them. But clearly he was destitute. If he suggested go F your mom, he was definitely a destitute person.
I know how much you worry about my salvation and you want me to do right, but
another a normal person wouldn't say that to you.
So if he gets left behind, it's going to be his hobo bag and his junk bag and his backpack are going to be left behind.
That's it.
Turns out he's probably going to be here.
After he told that about your mom, what did he do?
He kind of eased off in the other direction, and I kind of did too. I figured I don't want any more of this, so I kind of went into the gym, and I was forced to use the machines.
So you both just kind of slinked off.
Yeah, but I just can't live my life in fear. Have you ever faced Have you ever faced a situation where you're like, this is it, I'm going down, but I'm going down swinging? Or have you ever had that moment of truth?
Let me tell you, when I was a kid, like third or fourth grade, when I first moved to the little town I grew up in, literally, I had to fight everybody in my class. And I'd never been in a fight before, and I didn't know I could fight. And I had a knack for grabbing people, slamming them to the ground, and getting on top of them. And that usually ended the fight.
I used to work with you.
And that would usually end the fight. And, the first few times I had to do it, I was terrified, petrified. I knew I was going to get killed. I was just going to get the hell beat out of me. But it worked out. And I have been lucky. I have been able to talk myself out of every near fight that came along since then. One time, when I was like 19 years old, I got hit in the head by a bar stool while spinning records in underground Atlanta at the Mad Hatter. That's the only time I've been in an altercation that got physical since then.
I know that if it ever comes down to it, I'll fight because about 30 years ago, I was living in Knoxville, and one night we had our bedroom door open, and I saw we had one of those lights, a dimmer light where you touch it and it gets brighter, 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 and turns off. Well, I saw the living room light go on, get higher, get brighter, and turn off.
Then it turned on again. Somebody was in your house?
Let me tell you something. In the half a second it took me to jump out of bed and get down the hallway, the thought that went through my head was, I'm going down. This is it. But I was so mad that somebody was in my house, I was ready to jump on them. Well, it was my kitty cat who was touching the lamp with her nose. It was a touch lamp.
See, that's why I keep a gun by my bed, because what I'll do is I'll slip out of the bed, kind of lay down beside the bed, and just have the gun pointing up. When they come to the doorway, I'll let them have it.
Has that ever happened to you, or are you just preparing?
No, I'm just prepared in case it does. I don't want a confrontation. I'll let the gun take care of it.
So I probably should wait till the gym opens and stop trying to get a jump on everybody and warming up in the park.
Well, I got some bad news today. One of my, I really don't know this person. I'm just a big fan of the band. One of the members of Bad Company passed away, but, he was 81.
Yeah, and they just got inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame 3 months ago.
How is it they just got inducted and people like Madonna have been in there for a decade?
Well, that's the subject for another podcast, but absolutely. And this is the guy, I believe his name is Mick Ralphs.
Mick Ralphs, who's also in Mott the Hoople.
He wrote Feel Like Making Love and Can't Get Enough of Your Love.
Those are my two favorites.
That's a song that both your kids were conceived to.
I love that song. Anyway, let's see. So Paul Rogers is the other guy that's still alive, who's the big name in the band. But he will be missed. I will listen to some Bad Company today in his honor.
We're at that point in time where a lot of our favorite bands from the olden days are starting to tap out,
Not even the olden days necessarily, Toby Keith, people like that, passing on makes you sad. Yeah. Have you seen Toby Keith's version of Don't Let the Old Man In that he does after he got all the cancer treatment? He was skin and bone. Man, it's strong. Let me tell you what's bothering me today, John. I get up this morning bright and early. I woke up at like 4:30, couldn't go back to sleep, so I said, I'll get up. So me and the 3 dogs get up. I let them out. I feed them breakfast, and every day I do the Wordle and the connections on the New York Times to try to keep my brain sharp.
Keep your brains working, yeah.
So then after I do that, I turn on the TV and catch the local news, and I watch the local Fox affiliate, which isn't like Fox Network at all. It's a local affiliate, right? So the weather person comes on. I don't even know what her name is, but
did she give you the full forecast?
The full 5-day, but she was very concerned about today and tomorrow because she predicted them to be the hottest days of the year. Today and tomorrow, it's going to be 100 degrees here. And, of course, tons of humidity, and so it's going to feel like I don't know, at one point I think she said 108 or something like that. But anyway, she does all this stuff. And then, of course, they have to have the stories to go with that about make sure you stay hydrated. And they have some doctor, about,
right.
And don't stay outside more than this amount of time. Here's
heat
the
stroke
signs
is
of
a
heat
real
stroke.
thing.
And don't leave your kids or dogs in the car. And the temperature of the road is higher than the temperature outside. It'll burn your dog's face. So they do all the normal stuff that they do, and I'm just like bored. And then this little weasel from Duke Power comes on. Duke Power. Now we have within.
Wait a minute? Is he gonna tell you what the proper temperature to keep your house?
Yeah, that's what this little a-hole is going to do. So within 5 miles of my house, they have a nuclear power plant and they have a coal burning power plant within 5 miles of my house on Lake Wiley.
Oh, you're a goner.
And this little weasel comes on and he goes, "It'll really be peak demand out there." Now, we pay them year-round to do one thing: provide power to keep our homes warm in the winter and cool in the summer. That's the only job they have. And he comes on. He has the nerve, this weasel, to, on the hottest day of the year, to tell me that during the 5 hottest hour of the hottest day of the year, that I need to turn my thermostat up to 74 to 80 would be a good range. And I just looked at the TV and I said, guess what, buddy? It's 68 at my house and it's staying there all afternoon long. I'm not having it.
But listen, if you were to go outside and it was 78 degrees right now, you'd be like, this is wonderful.
Yeah, but I'm
you can't
not.
have that in your house.
I'm not. I'm going outside and it's 97 degrees and it's humid and I have to put it on 68 to keep it 70 in here.
I keep my house on 78 because the people on TV know best. And I do what they say.
Yeah, well, you're a dummy for doing it. I automatically thought of stuff like this. I said, does Golden Corral on Sundays when church lets out and the big crowds come, do they cut back on the buffet because they're so busy? No. They keep up with demand. If you go to the ice cream shop on a Sunday summer afternoon when it's blazing hot and there's a big crowd, they don't say, sorry, we can only give you half a scoop today because of the heat. No,
you know what I've noticed about you?
What?
In every podcast, you mention ice cream at least once.
Well, it's because I don't get to eat it much and I crave it. But the point is, fulfill the demand. You only got one job. Do it. Take care of it.
You know what's causing them to do all this? We thought if we started using those fancy light bulbs that lasted 12 years and our power bill would go down. Yeah. And if we put extra insulation in our attic, our power bill will go down. It never seems to, though, does it?
Those light bulbs were the biggest scam perpetuated on the American public in the history of the world, and you can blame Obama. That happened during the Obama administration. They're terrible. They barely put out any light. And guess what? They don't last 12 years. In fact,
they don't even last a year.
I think they blow out quicker than the old ones did. And
they absolutely do.
And they cost more.
I was into that. I bought into that about 15 years ago, and I remember buying 6 light bulbs, and the lady at Home Depot said,
did she kind of smirk and giggle?
No, she was like, these are the last light bulbs you'll ever have to buy. And I was like, wow.
Yeah.
Nope, wasn't the last light bulbs ever bought.
Hey, do you think Home Depots are going to sell anything that it's the last one you have to buy? No, they're going to make sure those light bulbs don't last that long.
And now we don't even hear about those stupid light bulbs anymore.
Because they suck. Mm-hmm. Just like Duke Power and their little weasel on TV. They suck, that's why. I mean,
boy, you are fit to be tied over that forecast guy, aren't you?
Well, how dare you tell me where to run my thermostat when I'm paying for the power and paying astronomically, I might add. Ridiculous. I'll tell you who there's not a backlash against. I have noticed a big swing from the African-American community to Trump. Have you noticed that?
Oh, yeah, big time.
I mean, big time. They love him now. Suddenly, they'll come in and they'll go, did Iran really think he was joking?
When he gave that interview last year and he said that he wanted to save black jobs, and the lady said, what do you mean black job? He said, jobs, American jobs, white jobs, black jobs, everybody. Yeah. And he immediately cut her feet off. She was trying to get him in some kind of gotcha moment. And you know, he really has. He got the highest amount of African-American votes since
Yeah, it was huge. But
It was forever.
I mean, since the whole Iranian thing started, I think a lot of people have come over because they see what he's accomplished. And I got to tell you, I was really impressed this morning when he was giving it to Israel, because Iran and Israel both broke the ceasefire already, and he was giving both of them hell this morning. And he's on the way to a NATO meeting in Europe, and he's going to give them some bad news when he gets there, too. You know, they're supposed to be paying 2.5% into NATO for defense. He's going to up it to 5%. They're not going to like that at all.
He thanked Iran for not injuring any Americans and not injuring anyone, and he thanked Iran for the warning they gave that they were going to retaliate. And I saw somebody on TV this morning say, that's not very presidential to thank someone for bombing you. No, that's called diplomacy.
Yeah, he also asked God to bless them. And here's the thing. Without a doubt, there's a gigantic power struggle going on inside Iran right now, because think about it, all the big leaders, the generals, military people, they're all dead, right? So you got all these new younger people jockeying for power, and then you got this old mullah, Ayatollah, that's supposedly in charge. So they had to do something internally in the country to make it look like, they were still fighting the great Satan. And so they warned us that they were going to shoot these missiles at this base, and I think we evacuated the base. Nobody got hurt. So
it was a way for them to save face, and that's all good and well. And I wonder if it really is over. I know the headline is, Trump ends the war in 36 hours. I hope this is the end of it, and we can start moving toward more diplomacy. I hope.
Well, that part of it is, but, there's never going to be an end to the permanent hatred between Iran and Israel, between Muslims and Israel. I mean, that's just never going to end. But hopefully we can have peace, at least. I hope so.
If not, then those people can go blank their mothers.
John will start walking in a straight line right at him, and that'll straighten him out.
I'll show you, Ayatollah. I'll start walking before the gym opens.
But, it's funny when you turn on some of the networks that are real anti-Trump, they're all going like, well, we don't really know if those attacks accomplished anything or not, because the way those bombs work, I've heard several of these experts talking about these bombs, and it's a 30,000-pound bomb made out of special metal. So it hits the ground.
Space-age polymers.
It hits the ground at the speed of sound, okay? And then it makes an explosion, and then it keeps going into the ground, and then the big explosion happens, and they put like 4 of them. So really from the air, all you see is a round hole in the ground where it first went in. And most of the stuff's underground. I bet they blew the crap out of all of it.
Yeah, it was actually hard to tell. They showed the before and the after pictures. I'm like, what am I looking for? I'm like, oh, those 3 little holes there.
Right.
That must have been where.
Yeah, because it's hollow underneath there, and it punched in. And now they're showing. Now they were showing these trucks that were all lined up at the place a few days beforehand, and they said it's very possible they removed all the uranium. Well, like I said a couple of days ago, if they did, trust me, the Israelis know where every one of those trucks went and who was in them, and it could take them out at any second.
Yeah, can you imagine all the intelligence between the U.S. and Israel, and they're sitting there going, where the hell did the uranium go? How did this happen? The whole thing's a big waste of time.
There was no uranium in there. How did they get it out and we not see it?
All we found was some mustard gas, weapons of mass destruction, no uranium.
I'll tell you, I saw the funniest. I'm trying to remember who it was. I think it was on Patrick Bet-David's podcast a couple of days ago. He had somebody on there, and they were talking about Trump derangement syndrome, and it was the funniest thing you've ever seen. This guy had actual pictures, and he goes, Trump derangement? He said, it's real. He goes, look at this, Rosie O'Donnell. And he shows a picture of her from like her talk show, and she looked perfectly normal. And he goes, look at her today.
Yeah.
He puts up. Then he had the funniest one, though. He goes, the worst case of Trump derangement is Kathy Griffin.
Kathy Griffin.
He shows a picture of her, and she's all made up and everything. And then he goes, look, now she's Carrot Top.
I know. She could do a guest spot on Walking Dead and not even use any makeup.
Have you seen her without her wig and everything on? I mean, she looks like something from a horror show.
Her skin's kind of gray. She kind of looks like the creature from the Black Lagoon. She not used to look okay, but she's lost her looks.
Yeah.
Hey, let me ask you a question since you're so politically involved. President Obama won the Nobel Peace Prize.
For nothing. For nothing. He did nothing to win that.
And well, he dropped 26,000 bombs without Congress's approval.
Yeah, he did nothing to win that.
Do you think that Donald Trump will get the Nobel Peace Prize?
No,
for dropping?
they won't. No, they won't. They won't give it to him at all. They will. They won't give him anything. And
but he only dropped 36 bombs. He didn't
Yeah.
drop 26,000.
He should get it. And now, I'll tell you what. This shows you another reason the Democrats are just floundering. They don't have. They got nothing. They don't have any ideas. They don't have any positions. And so now you've got Hakeem Jeffries and AOC and all these people. And who's the new young black congressman that's kind of making waves for herself? She went on. She's from Texas.
Yeah, the sassy one.
Yeah, she's real street. And so she said he should have at least hollered at Congress before he dropped them bombs.
Hollered
at Congress, real congressional sounding. But Hakeem Jeffries and AOC, they're both standing up there saying stuff like he had no right to start a war without congressional. He didn't start a war. He did the exact same thing Obama did, Biden did. He dropped some bombs to stop a nuclear program, and it was a good thing, and they just cannot admit it was a good thing. That's it.
Yeah, what's good for thee, not for me, the whole deal.
Exactly. Now, I've never been on this because I don't want to get left behind. Perhaps you have. I know there's been a lot of talk about it over the past few years, particularly during COVID. It got really big. This OnlyFans thing. Are you familiar with this OnlyFans, John?
I have never been on OnlyFans, so no.
I'm not even sure exactly what it is. I know that there are, I guess, women who go on there and show their feet to people.
That ain't all they show.
Well, yeah, they'll show anything. But if you have a foot fetish, you go on there and put show your feet live to a man, and he'll give you money, or show your private parts, your boobs, or I guess guys do it too.
Not as many.
You could show them your acorn, and your neighbor could show them the other thing. But anyway,
your neosynephrine bottle.
This OnlyFans, a lot of these women have gotten really wealthy. I mean, some women on there are big stars. They have huge followings, make a lot of money. Now, if you had to guess which state spends the most money on OnlyFans, what would it be? Because apparently it costs a lot of money to get a woman to show you her stuff. I don't know why you do that when there's porn all over the internet for free. But anyway, which state do you think spends the most money on OnlyFans?
I'll go with California.
I would have said California, maybe New York, perhaps Florida. I mean, but the state that's number one, I was shocked. West Virginia.
No, they're freaky in West Virginia.
Mountain Mama.
Do you think it's because that kind of content is not as easily available or widespread
maybe
in West Virginia?
Or the women are so unattractive they have to go to OnlyFans to find a hot woman to look at?
That could be it, yeah.
Or they live so far out in the holler that they don't see any women, so they have to use their Starlink connection to see a woman.
But like you said, there's regular adult content out there. I don't know why people would pay just to see.
Either.
Maybe that's the allure of it. The girl next door, she could be anybody. She just does it for me. Maybe that's the whole.
And which state do you think spends the least on OnlyFans?
Rhode Island.
Mississippi. That didn't surprise me at all. It's one of the lowest income states, Mississippi.
And they're very religious. I lived in Mississippi for a while.
But West Virginia, they spend, get this, $116,000 per 10,000 residents. Do the math on that for me. I'm not real good at math, but that's...
I'll have to do that later.
Is that $160 or $1,600?
For 10,000? I don't even know how to look that up.
It's a lot. Nevada
it's
second.
a lot for them hillbillies. Just call it that.
Nevada second, Colorado's third, Illinois, and Ohio
Wonder why Nevada would be second when they can do it. They can just go take women of the evening out legally.
I don't know. Yeah, and by the way, I meant to mention this earlier when we were talking about Rosie O'Donnell and how Trump derangement has totally ruined her look. She took to social media on Monday. The timing of Democrats and liberals is terrible, too. Have you noticed this? Mm-hmm. They get up and promote or talk about things when people have the least interest in them. I mean, on Monday, you've got...
Kind of like our podcast.
You know, you've got all this drama going on with Israel and Iran and everything. And Rosie took to social media to promote a recount of President Trump's landslide victory over Kamala Harris. She says that Elon hacked the computers and that he didn't really win. And
wait a minute. Stop. Hold up. Wait a minute. Let me put my 2 cents in. And I thought we weren't supposed to question the election process, Jack. Wasn't she one of the main ones?
Here it is. This is the flyer they're putting out there. We the people vote for recount. Vote where do you vote for a recount?
I heard that's not American to question the process.
They're election deniers.
He won by 85 million votes, more than any other president ever in the history of the whole wide world, and I believe it.
And who else is it? Somebody, Joe Braxton, who I have no idea. Joe Braxton is leading it. He said there's no way he won all 7 swing states, that Elon Musk had to have cheated for him.
I thought Rosie should just stay in Ireland and worry about Irish politics.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. You're in Ireland. You live there now. Why do you care?
I don't think they put up with her shenanigans over in Ireland.
I mean, Ireland's got enough problems of their own with all their immigrant situation and stuff going on.
The last U2 album.
Did anybody ever like U2, really? Was anybody ever really a fan? How did they get so big? I never liked anything they did.
Not since I woke up one morning 10 years ago. Remember they had jammed their new album on everybody's iPhone without telling us? We all woke up with a U2 album. I quit being a fan at that point. Not that I was ever a really big one to begin with.
Do you have any vacation plans this summer? Or are you just going to sweat it out in your basement?
I don't like to go anywhere. I don't know what the allure of vacation is. People are like, oh, we got to board the dogs. We got to lock the house up. We got to go somewhere and sit for a week and eat the most expensive food because it's the local fair. And I don't get into that. It's expensive. I don't like being on the road. I don't like being away from home. So, no, I'm not going anywhere.
Well, I went on a trip earlier back in April. I went on a little trip down to Florida in April because I don't like to go to the hottest place on earth in the middle of summer. A lot of people have this thing about going to Florida in June and July, and it's just miserable. It rains every day. It's 110 degrees every day. I don't get the whole point of going there. I like to go to Florida in the winter.
Why do you like to go to Florida when you live in North Carolina? You can just go to the Outer Banks.
Listen, I love North Carolina, and I do go to the Outer Banks. I like Wrightsville Beach. That's my favorite beach here, and I love to go up in the mountains in the summertime. But when it's cold in the winter, I like to go to Florida. But I ask you this question because I wanted to. You're not a good person to ask this question, but
I'm not a good person.
In your lifetime, how many states have you visited? I'm asking you this because there's this really fascinating British couple. They must be rich, but they came to America like a year ago, and they did a TikTok series, and they go, America, I have to tell you, I've fallen in love with your country and your food. And he's kind of a big bodybuilder. She's real pretty. But they came back this year, and they got an RV. And they've been all over the western United States, and everywhere they go, it just gets more beautiful. And they're just stunned at how big America is. You know, they say, if we drove this far, we'd gone through 9 countries.
They think of us like people here think about going to backpack through Europe. Like that's so, you know, romantic to do that. People over there are like, there's nothing over here. We're going to America.
Yeah,
see what I mean? Nobody's ever happy at their own house.
Yeah, but they've heard a lot of bad stuff about America too, and they every time they come on, they say, and that's just not true. We had no idea how friendly the people are, how good the food is, etc. But how many states have you been to?
Probably. Now you tell me, I've been through a bunch of states.
Just if you've touched, the ground in a state, that counts.
I wouldn't say any more than 7 or 8 states.
That is sad.
I haven't even left the state of Alabama.
That's even sadder.
I haven't left the state of Alabama in probably 10 years. And
Are you from Alabama?
I've lived here most of my life. I was originally in Ohio till I was about 9. I didn't leave the city. I haven't left the city limits of Montgomery in 3 years.
That is crazy. Well, I brought this up here because there's somebody did a big poll about how many states we've all been to. Now, I've been to a lot of them.
How many have you been to?
Most of them because I had jobs there and then was fired or quit.
It didn't work out.
Yeah, and I left, to go.
How many states have you been fired from a job from, Jack?
Let me see. Actually fired from a job, let's see, Texas, Minnesota.
I didn't know you worked in Texas. Where'd you work in Texas?
I worked at Y95, did the morning show at Y95 in Dallas.
Did you? And you worked at Z100?
Yeah.
In New York?
Yeah.
And you worked at San Diego?
Yeah, in Minneapolis, they changed formats. It wasn't that they didn't like me, but they were going to a different format, and they had a guy in town that they wanted to do it, and they wanted me to go do the afternoon show, and I didn't want to do it. But I got fired in Greensboro at the end.
One day I want to sit down and I want to go through your whole radio career because I just learned this about you. I didn't know you were in Minneapolis. Big markets, man.
I worked at WCCO FM.
Yeah.
In Minneapolis, yeah.
Wow, I didn't know this.
Anyway, 16% of American adults say they've been to 30 or more states. 5% of Gen Zers under 30 have already visited 30 states.
The thing is now is go on trips so you can put it on social media and put yourself in debt to go on trips. But I mean, really, what do you do? What do you get out of a trip? You go to a city to learn all about their city, go sightseeing in their city, but you never go sightseeing around your own city. Other people come to your town.
I like to drive through them just to see the landscape. I've driven cross country several times, and like when I went to New York, so the first place I went to was Philadelphia. I lived in Georgia and I drove to Philadelphia. So I'd never been to North Carolina, I'd never been to Virginia, never been to Washington D.C., never been to Pennsylvania. So man, I knocked out 4 right there. And then when you're in Philadelphia, you go down to the Jersey Shore. Then I took a train up to New York. So I got about 6 right there. And then when I lived in New York, I went up to the Canadian border.
Where'd you work in Philadelphia?
It was called Wish 106. It was a beautiful music station. We flipped to an AC. And then it became Electric 106 a little bit later. It's where Ross Britton went when he left Z100.
Top 10 markets all the way.
But anyway, I have probably been to, but mainly just driving. I've probably been to 37, 38 states.
Now, I drove cross country about 6 years ago now. Wow.
It's great. I love driving cross country.
It would have been better if there had been somebody else in the car with me to help pass the time. Mm-hmm. But I remember going through Texas, and there was just like nobody around, and you can just go as fast as you want.
I drove it with my dogs, and it was just great. Texas, New Mexico, Arizona, California.
Yeah.
Great. And then got to California, drove up to Yosemite one time. That was great. Nevada's beautiful. Utah's beautiful. The only place I haven't been that I really want to go is Montana.
I'd like to go to Montana and live, or South Dakota, and just get away from people and get 100 acres and put a big fence up. Keep all the elk out.
Well, since they made Yellowstone, that'll never happen. Oh, so one other thing I wanted to mention for you to think about, because I'm all for it if you are. I mean, I know we're trying to get this podcast going, and we're at over 153 subscribers.
I think we got a new subscriber yesterday. I think it's 154.
Okay, that's great. We're going for 165 by the end of the week. But apparently, maybe we can flip this around. Here's the deal. These Gen Zers, they want here's the thing top job applicants want today, and they're Gen Zers. They want 4-day work weeks, nap rooms, fun rooms, and pet-friendly offices. I don't have any problem with all of that, so here's what we'll do. We'll allow all of our podcast subscribers to have 4-day weeks. We'll be pet-friendly. We'll have nap rooms and fun rooms. You're in the fun room right now.
This is the Fun Room. Any podcast that mentions nap rooms and blanking your mother is a podcast that you want to spend some time with.
So like it and subscribe and tell some friends about the Jack Murphy Podcast, and thanks for watching.
You're welcome.
Thanks for watching the Jack Murphy Podcast. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring that bell. Go ahead, ring it. Get alerts when a new episode drops, and tell your friends about the Jack Murphy Podcast. But only the cool friends, please. Tune in next time for another episode of the Jack Murphy Podcast.